Oh, okay. You're all welcome to be seated. So, let's go back to the question that I asked at the beginning of the Torah service. What is it that we stand for? What are the things in our life that we stand up for, that we rise, that we make sure that we are in a standing position? Sophia? It's a sign of respect. So anytime we want to show respect, it actually goes on the other side. Somehow got turned around. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just wanted to help you out with that. There you go. So if we want to show respect for somebody, then we stand up for them, right? You would never sit in the presence of a king, for example, right? You would stand up, maybe bow, right? But you would never sit in the presence of a king. We have a tradition in our Talmud, mipnei seva takum, right? If there's an older person, stand up. Show that respect, right? So standing up is a sign of respect. I remember seeing a meme not too long ago on Facebook where it says, these are the things that a parent must teach their child. Sometimes it's a parent-child, sometimes it's a father to teach his son. One of the things is never shake anybody's hand sitting down, right? If you're going to shake somebody's hand, if you're going to have that, stand up. Show that respect to that person, right? Shaking hands, sitting down is like, all right, whatever, you're here, I don't really care, right? But stand up. Show that respect. Good, Sophia. What else? Why do we stand? What are the things, why do we stand? It's not that hard of a question. Michael. Good. I like that. Standing shows that you are ready for action, right? Or actually has you ready for action. There was a time for a brief period that I sat when I was up here, right? If you all remember, I had surgery on my knee. I couldn't stand. I sat. It was really hard to do. It was really hard to be engaged and be involved and talk sitting down, right? So yeah, standing up puts you in that moment. It puts you in that place of action. I like that. Good. What else? Tell me how. Yes, I like that. I like it. So standing brings us closer to God. It's a very deliberate movement, especially in the midst of tefillah, in the midst of our prayer, right? We stand up at moments in our prayer that we want to either be closer to God or acknowledge that we are in God's presence. The Amidah, right, that we had earlier on. We stand because we're in God's presence. We stand when the Torah comes out to show respect, right? And as the ark is opened, to again acknowledge that we are in God's presence. Okay, yes? Exactly. So sometimes we stand even higher, right? During the Amidah, when we say holy, 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 our tradition is we rise up on our toes for each of those words. And that moment, which we're going to get to in a second, that moment puts us in parallel with the angels. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I saw another hand come up. Please, Cheyenne. You're engaging, you're participating, it shows that you're part of it, right? I mean, if we're going to show that we're a part of something, what do? We stand up, we march, we go outside, right? We don't just sit at home. We engage in that way. It's a way that shows that we are part of it. Good. Anything else?
It's a sacrifice. In a way, you're sacrificing your comfort.
I like that. And why would we sacrifice our comfort?
Well, you're giving, it's a symbol of saying this is sort of greater than me. Like, I'd rather sit here, but I'm taking the time, the effort to stand up and, burn some extra.
Right. Burn those extra calories. I like that. No, I think you're right that this shows that we're willing to give up our momentary comfort for something else. That you all right, Rabbi Aaron? Okay, just keep breathing. So we're when we're sitting, it's all about us, right? It's all about us. Even if we are engaged in something else, right? When we're sitting at a meeting, right? We've got our position and our place, that sense of I'm focused on me, I'm focused on my needs, not necessarily. When we're standing, we feel like we're part of something else. We feel like we are part of that larger community, whether it's a group, whether it's a community. I would also argue, and we talked about this, I actually taught a class a long time ago that I called tefillah aerobics, prayer aerobics, right? When we stand, when we sit, all the different things that we do. We bow, all these things, right? And it helps us make distinctions in our mind between different times of the prayer service. So we know when one prayer starts and another prayer ends very often by when we stand and when we sit. We stand for this prayer, we sit for the next prayer. It helps us mark those distinctions, saying, this time, this moment is different. And I think standing in general helps us say, this moment is different. Whatever it is that we're doing, it's different from when we're sitting, it's certainly different from when we're sleeping, it's different than when we're driving, right? We're marking this as a different type of activity. So all of these things come together. Now, why am I talking about standing? Because this week's Parsha, at least the first part of it, is Nitzavim, standing. That's what it means. So turn to page 1165 in the bigger of the red books that are in front of you, in our Humashim. And we read, Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. You stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God. Everybody, your tribal heads, your elders, your officials, your children, your wives, even the stranger within your camp, from the wood chopper down to the water drawer. Why? To enter the covenant of the Lord your God. There's a purpose behind this standing. We're here to do a job. We're here to accomplish something when we're standing. We stand today. It's not just, all right, you all are here and you all wandered in the desert for 40 years, and great, good job, you're all part of the team, right? You're all part of the covenant. There's an action that we need to do to say, we are part of this group. We are part of the covenant. We're part of this body that now has this special relationship with God. Our standing means something, right? When we stand, in our heads, it should be something's different, something's important, something's changed. It's one of the reasons why we spend a lot of time standing over the next couple weeks, right? As we go through the liturgy of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But I want to come back for a moment to what Barbara said, because Barbara reminded us that we stand to make us think about ourselves as the angels, right? The way that the angels are described, these angelic beings who praise God, that is their job, to praise God. They are described as omdim, as standing on one leg, sort of a pedestal leg. And that is what they do. They stand and they praise God. And they don't move. That's where they are. They're stationary. They do have little wings on them if you really read all of their descriptions, But our tradition says they were created to be there and to praise God. They stand. Now, what's interesting is the rabbis pick up on this and they say, well, what's the difference between us and between the angels? And normally we would think, well, the angels are created so much better than us. But actually, our rabbis say we have the benefit. We have the benefit over the angels. Because not only do we stand, Nitzavim, but then, Vayeilekh, we go. That's the next parsha that is combined with today. Nitzavim and Vayeilekh. We stand, and then we go. We move. And that differentiates us, according to the rabbis, between us and the angels. And it differentiates us not only in a physical sort of way, but in a spiritual way as well. And it ties us into this time period. The angels, according to our tradition, were created exactly as they are. They never change. They don't have to. They're angels. We human beings are different. We change. We grow. We learn. We get better. We improve. We can only do that through movement. We can only do that through the second part. So if all we do is stand, if all we do is say, this is an important moment on Rosh Hashanah or tonight at Slichot, and we don't do anything after that, we're missing half of our job. Nitzavim and Vayeilekh come together. We stand to acknowledge that something is important, but then we have to actually act on it. We have to move. We have to change. We have to grow. We have to learn. That's what makes us human beings, and that's what actually gives us the edge, so to speak, right, on the angels. We can do the things the angels do. We can imagine ourselves like the angels and praising God, but then we can also go and build this world and make this world and be partners with God in creation. The angels don't do that. That's our job. So as we read this week's Parsha, Nitzavim and Vayeilekh, we always think about them in a combination. We stand today because it's important to come together and to recognize who we are and what we can do. And then Vayeilekh, we go out and we make those changes in our lives, in ourselves, and in the world around us to make it even better. Shabbat Shalom.